Princess did not expect a human to bleed blue. "Don't move," she shouted, her silver eyes trembling as she pressed her palm over the wound in his side. "If you die on our wedding night, I swear I will resurrect you and kill you again." Very human-looking and currently very stabbed, coughed a laugh. "That is an extremely motivating threat, Your Highness." "Good, stay alive," she snapped, though her voice cracked at the end. "Stay alive, idiot." That was the first time the palace guards saw their fierce princess cry. And that was the first moment realized he was in deep trouble, romantically, politically, and also medically. Just 12 hours earlier, stood on her palace balcony, staring at the twin suns of IV. Two great banners hung from the sky towers, one bearing the crest of her people, and the other bearing Earth's emblem. The political marriage alliance was supposed to be simple. She marries a human ambassador, peace is guaranteed, and nobody shoots plasma cannons at each other for the next 100 years. Simple. Except nothing about life had ever been simple. She had grown up trained as a warrior princess, raised on discipline and diplomacy. She could command fleets, silence rooms, and charm entire delegations. But romance, emotional vulnerability, love. That was a whole separate battlefield. When she first heard she would marry a human, she imagined a towering warrior, glowing armor, and some dramatic Earth hero who spoke like thunder. What she got was Reeves, a man who looked painfully ordinary. Brown hair that refused to stay combed, a smile that apologized before he even said anything, glasses he kept pushing back up his nose, and the softest hello she'd ever heard in her life. Honestly, it annoyed her. And that annoyed her even more. Humans were new to the wider galaxy. Everyone whispered they were fragile, clumsy, slow. So why did this particular human make her heart race like he had hacked into her cardiovascular system? The wedding ceremony was beautiful, filled with floating lanterns and crystalline music. Tripped twice walking down the aisle, one time almost taking out a decorative pillar. Pretended not to notice. The guests pretended not to gasp. Pretended gravity was personally bullying him. Then came the vows. Spoke with pride and strength, promising loyalty and protection. Voice trembling but eyes steady, said, "I know I'm not what your people expected, but I will stand between you and every danger, even if I have to hold the universe back with my bare hands." The nobles giggled. Humans holding back the universe? Adorable. But she felt something shift in her chest. And then, hours later, on their private wedding balcony, the attack happened. The assassin came out of nowhere, cloaked in shadow tech, striking with a blade forged to cut through armor. Reacted instantly, spinning with a warrior's reflex, but the strike wasn't meant for her. It hit. Except he didn't fall like a fragile human. He moved. Fast, much faster than any human record suggested. He grabbed, shielded her, twisted the attacker's wrist, and kicked him off the balcony with such precision that the guards later asked her if she had secretly married a military android. But he was wounded, badly, and that wound, the one she was pressing now, glowed faintly. Blue light pulsed under his skin. Not normal human blue. Something else, something alive, something hidden. She whispered as the healers rushed toward them, "You said you were ordinary." He winced, smiling weakly. "I might have undersold a few things." "Including the glowing," she snapped, wiping tears that refused to stop. "And the speed, and why your blood looks like starlight." He tried to answer, but another wave of pain took his voice. The healers lifted him onto an anti-stretcher, sparks floating off the wound like falling stars. As they carried him away, felt fear twist painfully inside her. Fear for him, this strange, gentle, frustrating man she had barely known for one day, yet felt more protective over than entire fleets. Unexpected, irritating, wrong. Yet so right she wanted to scream. She followed the healers down the corridor, voice shaking. "Reeves, when you wake up, you are going to explain everything, every secret, every lie. And if you almost die on me again." She swallowed hard. "I won't forgive you." But deep down, she already knew the truth. She would move galaxies for him if he asked. And she didn't even know what he was. Not yet. Paced the narrow corridor outside the palace infirmary, every footstep echoing like a drum in her chest. The cool metal walls reflected her anxious face, pale and taut with worry. Every second felt like a year. Every breath she took felt borrowed from the universe itself. She clenched her fists so tightly the knuckles ached. Why did he keep it a secret? She whispered to herself. He's human, or so I thought, and yet that blood. The healers had not spoken much. Their faces were polite but firm. They wouldn't explain what had made his veins glow, nor why his vital signs had stabilized so quickly. Not even a hint. Leaned against the wall, resting her forehead there, closing her eyes. In the silence, she remembered the warmth of his laugh earlier that day, fragile and soft, yet it had made her chest ache in ways that were dangerous for a princess who was supposed to remain stoic, untouchable, untamed. And then there was the way he had shielded her, the speed, the strength, the precision. He had moved like a predator and a guardian all at once. He was human, yes, but he was not human. Hours passed and the night deepened, painting the skies of IV with streaks of gold and violet. Finally sat beside his bed, watching him. His chest rose and fell steadily, but his hands twitched occasionally, as if struggling against some invisible chain. His face was pale but peaceful, the kind of peace that terrified her because it could shatter at the slightest touch. She reached out, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. She whispered, no answer, only a faint hum like distant starlight vibrating under the skin. She felt the pulse of his blue veins beneath her fingertips, faint yet undeniable. Her heart thumped painfully. You can't hide from me, she said softly. Not like this, not now. I already care too much to let you be a mystery. A faint sound escaped his lips, a groan, then a cough. His eyes fluttered open, revealing golden flecks that caught the light like molten metal. His breath caught. Don't scare me like that, she whispered, voice trembling. Tried to sit up. He failed. He smiled wryly, a little sheepishly, and reached for her hand. Hi, he said. His voice was hoarse but gentle. I didn't mean to terrify you, or nearly die, or, well, glow like a Christmas tree. Snorted, but the sound was broken, almost like a sob. Do you have any idea what you did to me? She demanded. You could have died on our wedding night. Do you have any clue how completely irresponsible that is? He laughed weakly, and it sounded like music she wanted to memorize. Apparently not enough to stop myself, he admitted, but I couldn't let them touch you. Her chest tightened. I know, she said, but I don't care how fast, how strong, or how glowing you are. I'm not ready to lose you. I don't care if I have to fight 1,000 assassins myself. I won't let anything happen to you. For a moment the world narrowed to that room, to the two of them. His hand gripped hers lightly, and she felt the warmth there, alive and strangely alien at once. Then he spoke, voice quiet and careful, as if each word was weighed against the stars. There's something you need to know. I'm not entirely human. Stomach twisted. I noticed, she said, trying to keep the edge of fear from her voice. Your blood, your speed, it's all wrong, but I need you to tell me everything. No lies, no hiding. Sighs darkened, golden flecks now blazing faintly like distant suns. I wasn't ready, he admitted. I thought I could just be your human husband. I wanted to protect you, live a normal life. But... He coughed and the blue glow pulsed under his skin again. There's more. I'm engineered, not exactly human. Part of me was made in a lab, enhanced to survive anything, to fight anything. I didn't want you to know because I was afraid you'd see me as a monster. His heart twisted. She looked at him, really looked, and the fear melted into a strange heat in her chest. A monster? She asked, voice trembling. I don't care what you are, part human, part whatever. I love you. I already do. Stared at her, shock and relief mingling in his eyes. For a moment, neither spoke. Then, with the faintest of smiles, he murmured, You mean that? She leaned forward, pressing her forehead against his. I mean that, she said. I don't care about blood or species or whether you glow like a star. If I have to fight a galaxy full of aliens to keep you alive, I will. He smiled, and the glow in his veins softened, almost like he was finally at peace. Then maybe we can survive this together, he whispered. Grinned despite the tears threatening to fall. We will survive, she said, because love fights harder than any sword. And somewhere deep inside, in the pulse of his strange, alien human heart, felt hope. Real hope. But outside the palace walls, shadows still moved, and the universe was far from done testing them. The palace was quiet, or at least it seemed quiet, and sat together in the infirmary, her hand still holding his as he rested. The blue glow in his veins had dimmed to a gentle pulse, like a heartbeat made of starlight. But the danger that had come so violently on their wedding night still lingered in the edges of the palace. Shadows moved where they shouldn't, and whispers floated like ghosts through the corridors. Tried to sit up again more carefully this time, leaning against the pillows. So, I'm a monster, he said with a weak, teasing grin. I feel like I should known this would come with a warning label. Rolled her eyes but couldn't hide the small smile tugging at her lips. Monster or not, she said, voice soft, you're my monster, and you nearly gave me a heart attack, so I get to scold you endlessly. He laughed, faint but warm, and it was enough to make her chest ache in that strange, painful way. I deserve it, he said, but I swear I didn't mean to. A sudden vibration ran through the room. The alarm system in the palace had activated. Red lights flashed across the walls. Froze, not again, she muttered, heart hammering. She was trained for war, for diplomacy, for managing entire fleets, but nothing had prepared her for fighting with her wedding night still hot in memory. Who's coming? Asked, his voice steady now, though the glow in his veins flared faintly as if warning her. Didn't answer, instead she leapt from the bed, grabbing his arm. We find out, we fight, we survive, together. No one, no thing touches you while I'm breathing. He smiled, a real smile that made her stomach flip. Lead the way, Your Highness, he said, and the teasing edge in his voice made her heart twist. They moved through the palace like shadows themselves. Reflexes were flawless. She could hear the faintest creak of a floorboard, the whisper of armor against walls. Matched her pace, faster and stronger than any human should be, his body moving with fluid precision that no one would expect. And then they saw them. 3 cloaked figures, their weapons drawn, their eyes glowing faintly under their hoods. Assassin marks. Blood ran cold, but she didn't falter. She drew her plasma blade, a ribbon of light singing in her hands. Stay behind me, she said sharply. Didn't move behind. Instead, he drew something too, a sword, strange in its design, with a faint glow of blue that matched his blood. Blinked, where, how, what? Family heirloom, he said casually, as if any explanation made perfect sense. I didn't think I'd need it on my honeymoon. Nearly groaned, but there was no time. The assassins lunged. Moved first, faster than the eye could follow. The sword arced in brilliant streaks of blue light, cutting through the first attacker's weapon as if it were air. Followed, her own blade a blur of silver, and together they fought in perfect, terrifying sync. Every strike made revealed more of his hidden strength, more of the alien in him. He moved with precision, power, and an elegance that made his heart pound with awe and something deeper, something that went beyond fear or attraction. You weren't kidding about being enhanced, murmured mid-fight, ducking under a swinging blade. He smiled, dodging and twisting midair. I prefer the term advanced human, he said, and she had no time to respond before another attacker lunged. Minutes or maybe seconds passed. The room was a storm of light, shadow, and clashing metal. But when it ended, the assassins lay unconscious, disarmed, or fleeing. The silence that followed was deafening. His chest heaved. I hate that you make me feel alive like this, she said, voice trembling. Stepped close, brushing a lock of hair from her face. And I hate that I make you worry, he whispered, but it's worth it every second. She looked at him, really looked. The golden flecks in his eyes, the faint blue glow beneath his skin, the way he held himself with both human warmth and alien strength. Her heart twisted, a beautiful pain she didn't want to escape. I can't promise we won't face more, she said softly. The galaxy, it's far from done testing us. He took her hand, holding it as if it were the most precious thing in existence. Then we face it together, no matter what comes. felt tears prick her eyes. I think I'm already in love with you, she admitted, the words heavy and bright all at once. He smiled, golden eyes glinting like stars. Good, because I'm already completely yours. And for a moment the universe seemed to hold its breath. Outside, shadows still crept, conspiracies still whispered. But inside that room, with their swords lowered and hands entwined, and found a moment of peace, fragile, brilliant, and theirs. They didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time they didn't fear it. Together, they could survive anything. The next morning, the palace corridors were quiet, almost too quiet. Sunlight spilled over the crystalline floors, but's mind felt shadowed. Lay awake in the infirmary bed, sitting upright for the first time without help. His eyes were open, golden flecks shimmering, and the faint glow in his veins pulsed softly like a heartbeat beneath a hidden star. Stood in the doorway, arms crossed, heart pounding. She had spent the night thinking, packing, and imagining every possible threat that could come for him. She had thought about how fragile humans were supposed to be, how ordinary. But this man, this impossible man, had shattered every expectation. He looked up at her, a small, teasing smile tugging at his lips. You look like you haven't slept. I haven't, she said, stepping closer. I spent the night worrying you'd, she broke off, swallowing hard. Her throat felt tight. Leave me. His hand reached for hers, warm and grounding. I'm not going anywhere, he said softly. I promise, but I need to tell you the rest about who I really am. Her pulse quickened. Finally, she said, half teasing, half demanding, because lying to me on the first night of our marriage, that's dangerous. He chuckled faintly, though his smile didn't reach the glowing gold of his eyes. Dangerous doesn't even begin to cover it, he admitted. He took a deep breath, and for a moment the only sound was the hum of the palace around them. I wasn't entirely human, he began. My body, it's engineered, part of a project on Earth, something meant to prepare humans for survival across galaxies. The blood you saw, it's not just glowing because it's pretty. It's adaptive, enhanced for speed, strength, and resilience. I didn't tell you because, he swallowed, looking down at their joined hands. I didn't want you to see me as wrong. Blinked, wrong, she repeated, voice soft. I don't care what your blood looks like or how strong you are. If anything, it makes me admire you more. He looked up, eyes wide, hope flickering. You do. Yes, she said firmly. I married you, did I? Not your blood type, not your genes, not your enhancements. I married you. And I... She stopped, heart hammering, unsure how to voice what had consumed her since the night before. I care about you more than I thought possible in just one day. His golden eyes softened, a warmth spreading through him that no enhancement could simulate. I feel the same. From the moment I met you, He stopped abruptly as a tremor ran through the palace, subtle at first, then sharp enough to make the windows rattle. His warrior instincts flared instantly. What? She darted to the window, scanning the grounds below. Smoke curled from the eastern gates. Assassins, she whispered. Her hand tightened around the hilt of her blade. No, said quietly, rising to his feet with strength that startled even her. Worse. The door to the infirmary burst open, and a guard ran in, panic in his eyes. Princess, the eastern city gates, they've fallen. Entire battalion wiped out, unknown attackers, and he gulped. They're heading this way. Stomach dropped, she looked at, and in that instant any hesitation vanished. We fight, she said, voice cold and decisive. We protect our people, we protect each other, do you understand? His lips curved into a small, determined smile. I do, and for the first time I feel like this body, this blood, these enhancements were all meant for one thing. He held out his hand, the faint glow in his veins brightening. To fight by your side. Gripped his hand, a thrill running through her. Then let's make them regret underestimating us. The two of them stepped into the corridor together, swords drawn, hearts aligned. His usual precision blended perfectly with his inhuman speed, creating a rhythm that was terrifying to any opponent and beautiful to watch. As they moved toward the palace gates, side by side, felt something she had never allowed herself to admit. Love that was fierce, protective, and unstoppable. And the fear she had felt for was replaced by a certainty. Whatever secrets he held, whatever dangers awaited, they would face them together. Even if the universe itself tried to tear them apart. The palace gates shook violently, and the air outside crackled with energy. Smoke and sparks drifted over the walls like angry ghosts, and the distant screams of soldiers reached ears. She gripped her blade, heart pounding, not from fear, but from the surge of adrenaline that came when her world threatened to fall apart. Beside her, moved with calm precision. His golden eyes glowed faintly under the shadow of his brow, and the pulse of his blue blood beneath his skin seemed to synchronize with her own heartbeat. He had trained to fight wars no human could survive, but never with a princess at his side whose life depended on him. He said softly yet firm, "Stick with me. We get through this together." She nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I wouldn't let you face it alone either." The gates burst open. Figures emerged, not just human assassins, but creatures she had never seen before, tall, sinewy, with blackened skin and weapons that hummed with alien energy. The smell of ozone and blood hit her, and her warrior instincts flared to life. Didn't hesitate. She charged forward, her blade a streak of silver light. Followed, faster than any human could move, his sword a brilliant arc of blue energy. Every clash of metal sent sparks into the air, illuminating his veins, glowing like a star that refused to die. One of the attackers lunged at her from the side. Twisted, dodging just in time, but another struck toward her from behind. Without thinking, spun, intercepting it. His enhanced strength threw the attacker across the courtyard like a rag doll. His chest swelled with a mixture of fear and awe. He's not just human, he's extraordinary. "You okay?" he asked quickly, returning to her side. "Better than okay," she said, her lips curving in a fierce smile. "Let's make them regret showing up." The battle was a storm, moved with grace and lethal precision, but his movements were almost too fast to follow. Every strike he made, every block and parry, revealed the truth she had glimpsed the night before. He was not ordinary. He was meant to protect her, to fight beside her against odds that would crush any normal human. And yet he smiled, even in the heat of battle, even as his veins shimmered with that unearthly blue glow. "You're amazing," he said as he deflected a swing aimed at her side. His heart faltered for a moment, not from fear, but because those words, soft and sincere, cut through the chaos like a knife. "Don't die," she whispered fiercely. "I can't survive without you." Grinned, leaning close enough that their shoulders brushed. "Then stay close, because I'm not planning on leaving this fight or you anytime soon." Together they were unstoppable. Attacker after attacker fell before them, but the tide was relentless. The creatures were faster, stronger than any army she had ever faced, yet with every strike felt a growing confidence. They were a team now, inseparable, unyielding, and bound by something far stronger than duty or politics. Finally, the enemy leader stepped forward, a towering figure with jagged armor that pulsed like molten rock. It swung a massive energy blade toward, but he didn't flinch. With a speed that seemed impossible, he leapt, twisting in midair to slash the blade in two, sparks raining down like fireflies. Watched breathless as he landed gracefully beside her, sword ready, glowing veins pulsating in the twilight. Her heart pounded in her chest, fierce and dangerous. "He's mine, he's alive, he's perfect." The enemy hesitated, startled by the force of his presence, seized the moment. "Now!" she shouted, and together they attacked, moving as one. Every strike, every block, every parry was a dance of trust and shared strength. And in that chaos realized something: she had never felt more alive, never felt more certain of love, of loyalty, of connection. Finally, the enemy fell, retreating into the night, leaving destruction and smoke in their wake. Stood panting, chest heaving, her sword glowing faintly in exhaustion. She turned to, and the sight of him, golden eyes bright, veins softly glowing, smile fierce yet tender, made her knees weak. "You're insane," she whispered, half in awe, half in exasperation. "And you are absolutely terrifying," he said with a grin. "In the best way." Laughed, a sound raw and joyous, tears threatening to fall. "Then I guess we make a perfect pair." He reached for her, fingers intertwining with hers. "Together," he said, "always together." And under the blood-red twilight of IV, with smoke curling into the sky and stars beginning to pierce the night, realized that no matter what the universe threw at them, she and were unbreakable. Their love wasn't fragile. It was a force, a weapon, a promise. And this was only the beginning. The aftermath of the battle left the palace in a haze of smoke, scorched earth, and shattered pride. Walked beside through the courtyard, her blade now sheathed, but her mind still alert. Every shadow, every distant sound of movement made her pulse race. The attack had been brutal, precise, and the truth of it was terrifying. Someone somewhere knew exactly what was. His golden eyes caught her gaze, steadying her. "You don't have to stay tense all the time," he said softly, though the faint glow in his veins pulsed with lingering energy from the fight. "I'm here. I'm not leaving. Not now, not ever." Her chest tightened at the sincerity in his voice. "You make it too easy to care about you," she whispered, "even when you nearly give me a heart attack." He chuckled, brushing a hand against hers. "And you make it impossible to hide anything from you. I should told you sooner about my origin." Stopped, turning fully toward him. "Tell me now," she demanded, eyes blazing. "Everything, I can handle it. I need to understand who you really are." He inhaled deeply, the pulse in his veins brightening as if gathering strength. "I wasn't born like a normal human. I was engineered, part of a secret project on Earth meant to create soldiers who could survive anywhere, planets with toxic air, extreme gravity, even combat against alien species. My body adapts, my blood heals, and I have reflexes far beyond normal humans." Listened, silent, letting the words sink in. Her hands gripped his arms, seeking reassurance more than anything. "So, the glow, the speed, the strength, it's all part of you being engineered." "Yes," he admitted. "I've lived most of my life hiding it, pretending to be ordinary. I didn't want anyone, especially not you, to see me as something other. I wanted you to see me as the man who loves you, not the superhuman I was built to be." His heart ached at his vulnerability. "You fool," she said softly, tears brimming. "Do you have any idea how impossible it is not to love you after all that? You're extraordinary, but you're mine. Your origin, your blood, your enhancements, none of it matters. I want you, all of you." For a moment looked stunned, then relief flooded his features. He brushed a hand over her cheek, fingers trembling slightly. "I was terrified you'd see me as wrong, but now—" He leaned close, their foreheads touching. "Now I feel like I belong with you." The air between them hummed, charged with emotion stronger than any weapon in the galaxy. Closed her eyes, letting herself sink into the warmth of his presence. "You do," she whispered. "And don't ever forget it, not for a second." They stayed like that, forehead to forehead, heartbeat to heartbeat, until a sudden vibration ran through the palace grounds. Pulled back slightly, scanning the horizon. "More attackers?" she asked, though her voice held no fear, only fierce readiness. Shook his head, though the glow in his veins brightened in anticipation. "No, worse. They've sent someone who knows what I am, someone from the project, someone who doesn't want me alive." His eyes narrowed. "Then we prepare together, I don't care who comes." He smiled faintly, a mix of pride and something more intimate, something that made her chest tighten. "Good, because whatever comes next, I don't want to face it without you." His lips curved in a soft, determined smile. "And you won't, ever." The night deepened, stars piercing the black sky above, and for a brief moment the chaos of the universe felt distant. They stood together, side by side, swords sheathed but hearts armed with something far more powerful, trust, love, and an unbreakable bond. "I have to tell you one more thing," murmured, voice low, almost reverent. "Part of me, the enhancements, the strength, it's reactive. When I'm near someone I care for deeply, my abilities amplify. That's why last night, why I protected you so effectively. I didn't just want to survive, I wanted to survive for you." His breath caught. "You risked everything for me." He nodded, eyes bright. "Every second, every moment, because you matter more than anything." Tears fell freely then, but neither moved away. Instead, cupped his face in her hands, pressing her forehead against his again. "Then we face the universe together. Every danger, every secret, everything. You and me." His hand found hers, tightening like a promise. "Always," he said. And beneath the light of distant stars, for the first time understood completely. Love, in its form, was a weapon stronger than any blade, and they were unstoppable together. The palace trembled. Smoke curled into the sky like black rivers, and the distant cries of the enemy echoed over the walls. and stood on the highest balcony, swords drawn, hearts hammering in unison. "This is it," said voice low, fierce. "Whatever comes, we face it together, no holding back." His golden eyes glimmered in the dim light, veins pulsing faintly blue. "Together," he echoed. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining, a quiet anchor amid the chaos. Below them, the project's agent appeared, a towering figure in black alloy armor, energy crackling like lightning from its limbs. It moved with terrifying precision, targeting first. His pulse raced, but she didn't hesitate. "Not him," she growled, stepping forward. The agent struck, energy blades swinging faster than the eye could follow. Reacted instantly, enhanced reflexes turning him into a blur of motion. He deflected the strike with his glowing sword, then spun, using the momentum to leap onto the balcony where stood. "You can't hold me back," he shouted. "I've got you." His heart clenched. "I never wanted to be held back. We fight as one." Their swords clashed with the agent's energy blades in a storm of light and sparks. Moved with deadly grace, each strike precise, every block protecting while cutting through the enemy's defenses. Speed and strength amplified with every heartbeat near her, his glow brightening, radiating power that seemed almost celestial. The battle stretched across the courtyard, their teamwork flawless. They anticipated each other's moves without words, as if they shared a single mind. Every strike they landed pushed the enemy back, but the agent was relentless, its armor nearly impervious. Faltered briefly, chest heaving, and caught her, steadying her with a fierce grip. Their eyes met, golden and silver colliding in a moment heavier than any words. "You trust me?" he asked, voice soft, almost intimate amid the chaos. "Always," she replied, "and I love you, don't forget that." His jaw tightened, determination blazing in his eyes. "Then watch me protect you for the last time." With that, moved like a storm unleashed. He darted forward, faster than thought, his glowing sword a comet slicing through the night. The agent swung a massive blade, but twisted midair, landing directly behind it. In one smooth, fluid motion, he drove his sword through the enemy's armor. Sparks erupted, energy fizzled, and the agent staggered. Leapt alongside him, her blade slicing through the weakened armor, forcing the enemy to its knees. Together, they struck in perfect unity, and the agent fell with a thunderous crash, the energy dissipating into the night. For a heartbeat, the world was silent. Sank to her knees, breathing heavily, sword trembling in her grip. Knelt beside her, his glow softening, golden eyes searching hers. He reached out, cupping her face. "We survived," he said, voice thick with emotion. Pressed her forehead to his, tears streaming freely. "We survived together, and I—" Her voice broke, caught in the swell of feeling. "I love you more than I ever thought possible. You're my human, my star, my everything." Smiled, a warmth in his gaze that made her heart ache. "And you're mine, always. I don't care if the galaxy wants to tear us apart. We belong to each other." Above them, the twin suns of IV set behind the mountains, painting the sky with streaks of gold and violet. The stars began to appear, faint and beautiful, as if the universe itself was watching, honoring the bond they had forged in fire, blood, and love. Laughed softly, leaning against him, feeling the pulse of his strange, glowing veins beneath her fingers. "You know," she whispered, "I think we could take on the whole galaxy and still come out alive." Grinned, resting his forehead against hers. "Then let's not wait for them to try, together always." And in that moment, they didn't just survive. They thrived. Two hearts, one human, one engineered, bound by love that transcended species, blood, and the stars themselves. The palace may have been, the universe full of dangers still unseen, but nothing could touch them now. Not while they held each other. Lifted her head, eyes shining with determination. "Let the universe come," she said. "We're ready." His hand tightened over hers, his glow brightening. "We're unstoppable," he said. And as the first stars of night sparkled above them, their hearts burned brighter than any light the galaxy had ever seen. Together they were home,